Hello, faith leaders, and welcome to Breaktime. Philippians 2:17 says this, "But even if I'm being poured out like a drink offering on the sacrifice and service coming from your faith, I am glad and rejoice with all of you." So you should be glad and rejoice with me. Now, Paul's circumstances were not pleasurable in this passage. You know that he was in prison. And because of that, he was empowering people on the outside of the prison walls, and he was sending letters to them. And it's amazing to me that he is asking them to be what? Rejoicing with him because of his service for them. He didn't want them to be caught up into grumbling and complaining about their circumstances, because he tells us this. I challenge you to go back and look at last week's. He doesn't ask us to grumble and complain about our situation, but he's inviting. It's always an invitation to rejoice in the midst of your circumstances. But you're saying, you don't know my circumstances. They're really awful. And I'm going to say, you bet I don't know them. But I do know that when we grumble and complain in the midst of our circumstances, it is defeating God's divine best purpose for you and for me. Rejoicing releases his purpose in us. Rejoice has a way of turning our eyes from ourselves and our situation onto what God's purpose could be in it, even though it might be horrific. Paul's was bad. He was in the midst of chains, and yet he found his chain as a reason to celebrate, as a reason to rejoice. Wow, believers. And sometimes it's so controversial in our world, because when things don't go our way, the world way says to grumble and complain and demand your own rights and control your situation and manipulate others around you to try to get your way, instead of saying, you know what, this is not the best of circumstances. This is not my best day. And many of us today are probably not going to have our best day. But you know what? We can choose our attitude through our day. And one of the ways that we can do that is simply by rejoicing. Rejoicing in the midst of your situation is not saying, it's not saying, man, I'm so thankful that this and this and this happened to me. No, what you're saying is, I am thankful for the Lord Christ, the Jesus, in the midst of my bad situation, that there he is. There he is. And what it does is it takes your eyes off of your circumstance and onto the God who can enable you and empower you and push you through it. Man, I've been through there, and I'm still going through some sad situations sometimes, but yet God has a way of saying, let's rejoice. Rejoice. Rejoice in the midst of it, because it's right there that you are going to find the strength, and it's right there that you're going to find what you need to enable you to walk through it. Isn't that amazing? And I know some of you are having some tough days. But you know what? Let's rejoice. You have a blessed day. Rejoicing.